Didn't say it. They just, oh, you're not there anymore? No. Basically, Imam Musa is a dictator. People is crazy. There's a crew called Skiskelham. I don't know if y'all remember them, Skiskelham. Do you remember them? I don't want to mention the guy's name, but he was a leader. They would always have a leader of a different crew, of each crew. I call them Skiskelham because they knew much about Islam. As if you say Sami Allahu liman hamida, you're supposed to say Rabbana lakal ham. Them niggas would say Skiskelham. That's why I call them Skiskelham. That's what they would say. I could hear it. So you name people by different things, so that's what I call them. I call them that, that's what I think of when I see them. And it would always be, especially in those days, it would be as though you're isolated. So at all the meetings, they would be the bulk of the people. They would bring their crew to the meeting. And one meeting, the lady had a big green ledger. I don't know if you've ever seen them. And they had a big green ledger, this big. And so they said, Imam Musa, what we want to do is, we'll take the money out of the box for Juma, count it, and then we'll write it down, how much it was in the ledger. So the next week I bought my notebooks and I said, I put all that here. This operation is too small at this time to have a giant ledger like that. And there's no reason for y'all to be counting the money anyway. There's no reason for that. So first of all, ain't nobody you don't have to worry about that box being filled up. And with all these kids coming in, you got to keep an eye on that box. They'll run off. I said that the people run off with most of that money before we get it. The kids, they had teenage kids that, hey man. So there's never been a time when there's been no drama with our masjid from 1980 all the way up. There's never been a time. The drama might evolve or devolve or change a little bit. But actually, this is a pretty peaceful time. Because those other times, you're learning and developing, and you develop a certain amount of patience. See, at a certain time, I don't know if I would have had the patience to put up with all of this, but each time we put up with patience and did it, we got better at it. So we're thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The last thing, we are right now in the middle of moving forward. This is basically a good time. Our view is that we'll go back to California in a couple of weeks. We will, inshallah, take a two-pronged attack or approach. Number one, the legal stuff. That's with the bank and what have you. That we'll take care of that. That'll be the first. The next would be the property. And the third was we will reoccupy the masjid like it was occupied when I was there, popped upside the head, but we'll reoccupy the masjid and we'll close it down for a while and saturate the whole region with CDs, DVDs, and flyers about what's been going on. it won't be as difficult there, because there the people already kind of know, but we'll be putting out our story. And the picture we've given is the picture that we have. One of the last independent African-American Masjid, trying to be taken over by Afro-Zionists and Arab Zionists. And it didn't work, it failed. It was a complete failure. We want to announce to the people the total success of this whole venture, and to use the historical, I know we said we don't want to be redundant, but the historical aspect, the chronicling aspect, the archivist aspect, that we were doing exactly what we were saying that we were doing, archiving. Because nobody had paid attention to that. Everything that is, you have to look and you say, where do we fit in? Where can we do the most good with what we have? Well, if Black Lives Matter want to know why, they get a few people, or they get everybody shouting Black Lives Matter, and then the thing goes flat. How? It's the same thing they do to us. They infiltrate them with white folks, with all kind of people. They blow it up and then flatten it out. And then you have 2 or 3 original leaders that they look around and everybody's gone. They didn't do nothing. But the government did it. That's been going on since the 1960s. They perfected that in the 60s. It's been going on way before then. But they perfected it with the Black Panther Party, with all the other groups in the 60s. They would blow them up, fill them up with snitches and tattletales and stooges, and then all of them would leave. And by that time, they've corrupted the few good leaders. Remember this. When we say it's too many ways to be a fool or duck them all, the human being has weaknesses. That's all it is to it. It's not bad. Or without tazkiyah bil nafs, the purification of the nafs, without a long-range program of internal cleansing, a person will be susceptible to women. The hadith say that's the biggest problem left behind for man is women. And all the masajid they had years ago, the imams had, some of them had 4 wives, some of them had 2 or 3 wives. What was the purpose of that? That would be the criterion for manhood, because the Negroes wanted to control a woman. They always had. So whether it was Abdul Malik, whether it's Siraj Wahaj, whether it's, what's the name, got all the red in his beard, all of them. Several wives, except Zayd, he don't have. Just a couple more. Why? I was wondering, I said, what do these niggas think they got 2 or 3 wives don't have nothing to do with the movement. I mean, and if you have 2, 3, 4 wives, you ain't gonna be doing a whole lot of movement, because they're gonna scatter your brain. 3 or 4 women working on one nigga, one woman is enough for one nigga to scramble their brain. How in the world you gonna deal with 3 of them? Let's say 3, that's pretty nice number, 3. And they all shooting at you in different ways. You're gonna be like one of my friends, he had 4 wives. We could be talking. See, Imam Musa, I got 4 wives. And he keep right on. Then somewhere down, Imam Musa, I got 4 wives. I said, yeah, I can tell. I can sure tell. You know what I mean? The white man did that to the Negroes. He studies the Negro. What is the weaknesses that Negroes have? First weakness is women. It's simple. Now you got to get all the rest of them to go along with that. The Imam sets the standard. If they want to have trouble in any masjid, they send 3, 4 cutie pies in there, and all the unity is gone, because everybody's shooting at them girls. They want them. And the first thing the Imam do is he get a couple of them for himself. Right? Now there's envy, hatred, and all of that. This is normal. This is normal. You know. That was a criteria. We put all that on hold. Now, there's no Negro, I believe, in world history that did 15 years celibate, ready to height of their juiced up, running the hills, drinking health drinks and all of that. Because the movement is more important. The movement is actually more important. And they're running around with all them extra wives and ain't doing nothing. And you there by yourself on the road. Why? Because it's kind of like now. If your mind is free and you can stretch out and you ain't got no confusion, you can roll. We're pro-family and all that, but what I'm saying is that the way they bring on the picture is that your manhood is in how many wives you have, because you got to control all them girls, and that's your manhood. Well, I haven't seen it work too well. I just haven't seen it work too well. And it definitely, they wasn't going to trap me. It's like if the police want to catch you speeding out on the highway, they'll send 2 or 3 people by you real fast. And then your speed will ease up and ease up. Pretty soon, you're going faster than the speed limit. Why? Because the flow of traffic that picked up all them people was the police. Yeah, then they pull you over, you're speeding. I don't do that. How fast you going, that's good for you, it ain't good for me. In other words, in your evolution. No, there's too many ways to be a fool and duck them all. There's so many tricks that they use. They don't believe a nigga can get around them all. They don't believe it. They don't believe it. Even now, they say something's going on. Something is going on. We got to dig up what's really happening. They don't believe it, that you can avoid the traps, the snares. There's an article, Imam and Amal, Faith and Works, and we talked about the type of person that can lead the people down the path to righteousness and can avoid all the snares and traps. In closing, can anybody see the biggest John Hancock on there? Mukhtar Ali Mujahid. That's John Hancock. On the Constitution, whatever, the Declaration of John Hancock. Look at there. That's the biggest, right? That's the greatest munafiq thing you've ever seen. Everybody else wrote their signature regular size. He doubled and tripled up. Mukhtar Ali Mujahid that signed this document, the resolution. We resolve to do all of these things. And one of the greatest parts of all of this is monitoring each other. Because see, if this stuff is real, it's not suspicion to monitor each other. It's natural. You got to do it. Why? Because boss man gonna always, he can't help it. He can't help it loading you up. He can't help it. And he's never not did it. Not only he ain't never not did it, nobody else. All the governments do it. Right? They talk about China don't have no freedom. What do they think they got here? There's no, and I'll close with this. We thank Allah for this period of time, and we thank Allah for allowing us to play a little part in this, because that's what we have to deal with. The world is in so much chaos that we have to pick our spot and develop that. And as we develop that, hopefully it grows and spreads. But we don't have nothing against humanity or humankind. We could care less. We're just not going to put up with oppression of the white man. We're just not going to do it. He can kiss our behind. He done lost this one. And unless something drastic happened, when you have any success with Tazkiyah bil Nafs, even if you think about doing something low class,